That way we have yeah, I'm recording now, so just know that I am recording. Everything that was said before doesn't matter. So yes, okay. You can listen, Sarah, but you can't talk, that's fine. We know you're there. We feel your presence. Who else is there? Nobody?
Jay.
Okay, I can only see 4 people at a time because of Zoom that's the way it works. So I'm gonna scroll down. Jean! Jay in the window. Hi, window.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Hi, Erin.
Hi, Jean.
Hi, Sarah. Sarah's got her mute on, so she can't.
I'm driving, so I'm going to avoid engaging with the video and the audio for everybody.
Hi, Zach.
Hi, Zach.
I think Andrea's name is online instructor.
It is. I keep logging out of my UT and logging into my personal, and it just logs me back in.
You're just online instructor. Congratulations.
Fine.
I gotta figure out why that does that.
Wow, this is the most people we've had for a meeting. This is awesome. Hi, Jack. Hi, Jay. So Lillian is at the doctor, and Sarah is currently driving. I don't think Lyman's coming in. Grant was a tentative. So we'll wait a few more minutes to see if maybe Melissa or Carrie Simpson can join on in. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
The Welcome to the Humanities meeting webcast, October 5th, 12:30 to 1:30?
Yes.
Yes, sweet. Okay, if there's anything else anyone wants to add to this agenda, this is just things that we didn't 100% get covered in the last meeting and some other things that have popped up since then. Yes, I'll nod your heads.
Yes, I'm nodding.
Nodding is fine. So I'll just, again, I've got the chat function open too if anyone wants to have side chat conversations about anything. Feel free to do that. If you need to ask a question, you can just yell at me and do whatever you need to do. So again, I am recording, so I'll be able to share this with the people that were not there. We do miss you, by the way. We do need to have a personal get-together, like social event for Humanities. I know a lot of you couldn't make it to the PRH social, so I'm going to probably put something together around Christmas time that is usually a little more less official, so i.e. more drinking.
I was just going to follow that up.
Yeah, with
more alcohol. Subtext, more alcohol.
Yes, subtext. So maybe a house party or a slumber party. I don't know. We'll work something out. So, all right. It is greetings from Jay. Hello. Yes, the chat is working. Move that on the side. So, does anyone have anything they want to share? Like pretend that we're in a room and let's break this virtual sort of situation work. How's everybody doing? Let's go down. My list is in a different order than everyone else's list. The first person I see is Erin. Erin, would you like to share what's going on with your semester so far?
Yeah, so I've got 28 Colorado River High School students, and we had a science versus religion debate this week because we're looking at Roland Barthes and Descartes, and they were clapping for each other, which is new. Like people would say a thing. There were people in there who were, they felt as though they were defending the presence of God, and they were like, you know, there was like a levity with what they were saying, and so they got applause. They were applauding for each other, which to me shows that they're being very supportive of one another. And that was new and happy and good.
Good is nice to hear. Andrea?
Yeah.
Online instructor.
There we go. I didn't mute myself. Hi. Yeah, so far so good. I've got the 2 classes in Elgin that are the dual enrollment. Pass up. Do you have like a feedback coming through? Is that me?
Just a little bit, not too bad.
I don't know what that is. But they're really good. They're fun to chat with them. I just started up the Cedar Park one, and it's a vastly different vibe, but really great at the same time that I'm getting 2 very different kind of snapshots of how this class can be run, and I'm really enjoying it.
Awesome. Jean?
Hello. Things are going well. This is my first semester doing the great issues. I always call it great questions. The great issues seminar. No, it is great questions seminar.
Yeah, I have that on the agenda for us to share. So
Awesome. So that's going well. And then I'm doing my second time of teaching Intro to Mexican American Studies. It's the second time I'm teaching it. It's the first time I'm doing it as distance learning. So I really changed up the curriculum substantially, plus moved it to online. So I'm liking how it's working, but I was talking with Grant about next time combining both of these, like what I did last time with what I did this time. Yeah, so that's going good. And then I agree that we should get together since I totally couldn't make the last one at all. So that's me.
I need to work on scheduling around your events because your events are great things to go to as well. And so we always have to pick.
Fun to have you guys.
Yes.
All right, I'm signing off. Well, I'm going to stay on, but mute.
Sarah, are you still there? Can you not talk right now? We'll skip you.
I can talk.
Oh,
It
you're
might
just
be a little loud.
asking. No, we're just asking updates.
Yeah, I am in, I think it's the first year of Lanier High School, teaching 2 sections. They are, on the whole, not prepared for college. They are having trouble taking it seriously, particularly some of the students. So I've had to have some bad mommy conversations with them. But they're starting to at least be a little bit better behaved. Their scores could use some improvement. And I talked to Grant last night, and he said, really, we should not feel bad about giving them bad grades. Like, they need to have consequences. So I'm also teaching a 1301 online for the first time. So we'll see how they respond to that. So far, it seems, so, you know, other than technical, trying to figure out how the Blackboard course works, it seems fine. So also, I'm into the slumber party idea. Did y'all hear any of that? I can't hear you now.
Yes, we did. And I'm also into the slumber party idea. Full support.
I heard all of that, and that is great. And I am, is Desi still there? Desi?
I'm still here.
Oh, we're just looking for an update.
Oh, okay. It's going well so far. It's been a good semester. The online classes are always fun. Pop culture. Manor has been a bit rocky, but it seems like things are falling into place finally.
I totally thought you were going to say Maynard's been a bitch. I'm sorry. I swear I thought that was going.
And I got news. I think I'm a campus representative for the Adjunct Faculty Association.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm not 100% sure what that's going to all entail, but
I did that for a hot second. If you want to have a conversation later about how to deal with possibly the counterintuitive energy that's in that organization and push them toward good, I think that you could be a real good force for them. They need a push in the right direction.
that sounds like a nice happy hour conversation.
Yes, that does sound like a nice happy hour conversation.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Zach, how's it going?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh shoot, my computer's about to die. Can somebody go before me? I just got a notification.
We'll just skip over to Jay.
Yeah.
Jay?
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. So first semester teaching Humanities 1301 out in Maine. Back-to-back sections out there, 50 students total. Similar to what Desi was saying, just trying to get the students to stay focused and take it serious. So I'm trying to be as creative as possible, and you know, it's just a different vibe out there.
Yeah.
So just, you know, other than that, it's going pretty good.
So, Zach, are you good? Thank you, Jay. I'll talk to you a little bit about the spring schedule in a second, relating to Jay. Zach?
Sorry, Jay. What was your class, Jay?
I was teaching Humanities 1301 at Manor High School.
Okay. Yeah, I was getting my computer at 50% when this meeting started, and now
It just sucked it dry.
yeah. So I was just grabbing my charger when you began. I have a 1302, same situation. It sounds like kind of as Sarah and I guess Jay, kind of. You said bad students.
They're not bad. They're misunderstood and not properly prepared for the things that society is expecting of them.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, it's not their fault. I couldn't have succeeded. I was like a pretty good high school student, and I couldn't. And history was my thing, and I didn't even do that well in AP World when I was a sophomore in high school. So it's just a tough situation for them. I've been appreciating Dr. Grant's perspective on it, being realistic that some of these students might fail. That support's been very important to me.
Yes.
I want to throw out that, like Jay said, that you're like trying to be creative. I saw you teach. You're one of the most creative teachers. Like, I feel like that you're up to that challenge. You're a creative human. You have creative like strategies for getting students involved.
Okay. Thank you. I'd like to, to get this sort of started, we have a portal that we share things through, and I'm going to be showing you guys that in a little bit. It's a Google Team Drive that we have all of our assessment materials in, and we can share creative assignments, and we try to share as much as possible. It is, we have a dearth of information that we are trying to get out to our students, and we all do it in such fun and creative ways, and it would be great if we could share all of that in a collaborative environment. We can all benefit from our creativity, and we've kind of always done that, and I'd like that to continue as our department grows. As you see on the agenda, I have spring schedule review. Some of it was a little rocky because there were classes that you couldn't see that you knew that you were supposed to be slated for, and things that got canceled since our first run of the schedule. And did everybody get what they want is kind of my question. Like, did you end up getting what you needed? Yes, everybody. Anybody going to talk?
Yes, I got what I needed.
You got what you needed?
Yes.
Everybody? All right.
Jay did not get what he needed.
Jay is in overload.
Oh, man.
We may have an open section at Manor.
You get to share your awesomeness with so many students. That's amazing.
Have you talked to Grant about that? Dawn let me know when I was finishing up the last bit of e-staffing.
Grant and I have been going back and forth on email. I'm in a different department, and I wasn't fully aware about the overload situation, given the fact that I'm currently teaching 2 classes in that department and 2 classes in the humanities department. So yeah. I was thinking I could do more of the same.
Yes.
But that's not the case, apparently.
Okay. Are they going to approve your overload, or do we need to find coverage for that?
He's working on it. Okay. So, yeah. So.
All right, that's good. It's good to know. Lillian ended up giving away a 1-credit class in student dev to teach her class here. She was in that same situation. So it's a delicate balance with, Jean knows that same thing too. She has restrictions because she teaches in radio, television, and film. So, Jean, you're not in overload, right?
I have a situation where I'm approved to teach up to 11 hours, so I'm currently at 10 and a half.
Okay.
Classes.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's because like I can't take it to 12.
No. So it's just that lab that they're shoehorning in there.
Yep.
Yeah. It was, like I said, it was a 1-credit class that Lillian had to give up. She was approved for 11 or something like that, and this 1-credit class just went over what it was. It was 10.
They're pretty strict about it.
Yes. Okay, so we'll figure out what that solution is, maybe have to work together on it. Going forward, we're probably going to start looking at the summer schedule pretty quickly. Although, as you notice, the schedule is an ever-changing monster. We don't know what it's going to be. Part of the reason one of Lillian's classes didn't show up is because it was mine, because they added a Harmony Public School class for Humanities 1301, and it's the first charter school that's reached out to us. So I will be going to the Harmony Charter School on 6/20 in the spring and seeing what charter school students have to offer the college program. So they reached out and asked if we could add it, and I said, of course we can add that, because we'll figure out how to staff it later. So we are definitely going to continue to grow with this early college high school program. And when we get to assessment, I'll show how we're sort of tracking and seeing what ways we can support these students, but again, not be afraid to fail these students just like everybody else.
Can I add a thing?
Huh?
Can I add a thing?
Yes, please.
So Lillian and I are in the process of creating a peace and conflict studies version of 1301 and or 1302, and I could even probably do it for 1350. It would function, we could even do it with great questions. So it would just have multiple designations, and we're hoping to push that through for either summer or fall designations.
Okay. Is that part of the contextualized courses that Grant is talking about? For
It's actually, I think, a major that they can do, or an emphasis.
Yeah,
so they need to take a certain number of classes that have that emphasis.
Yeah,
and so 40,
okay,
40%
so
of what we teach would be related to peace and conflict studies, but it's easy to do in humanities.
yes, this is how the Max program worked when we started. When Jean, Desi, and I worked together to start creating those Max program classes for their certificate that turned into an interdisciplinary major. So our content lends well to these specifically contextualized courses. So we need
and
to
they're also working on a global studies program, so it would definitely lend to that as well.
We could just plug directly into that because of our focus on global humanities versus Western humanities. We need to get a little more global, and I think we can have talks about that as we move forward. Textbook orders. I know everyone should have gotten the emails from Dawn about doing your own Faculty Inlight textbook orders. Did everybody get that done? Do they want to see what that looks like? I can share. Hold on, let me share my screen. New share is Faculty Inlight. Can you all see that?
No.
Hold on. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Faculty Inlight. So for books, did everyone figure out how to use it and has ordered their books for spring? Yes, no, kind of, sort of, maybe. All right. Faculty Inlight, you can access it from Blackboard. You can just enter ACC Faculty Inlight. You log in with your ACC information. Click Adopt. It'll take you to this screen. You select your term, spring 2019. You select your department. We are actually humanities, as we're a discipline, but when you're looking for books, we're the department. And then select your course, 1301, 1302, 1311, 1315. Not seeing the course you're teaching. So some of them have names on them, some of them don't. You can track it by your section number and choose your staff research section. Let me see that. Let's see what that looks like. Continue. Okay, so that already exists. Let me pick one that doesn't. I think everybody's ordered all their books.
Can I make a comment real quick?
Sure.
Last night, Grant was under the impression that all of the humanities books and all of the Great Questions books are going to be pre-ordered by Dawn without us having to do this.
The Great Questions books will be pre-ordered by Dawn. That's what we had agreed on and talked about. Dawn said to just go ahead and have us enter the orders this time. That email came from him. I know he might have been under the impression that that's what was going to happen, but that wasn't how Dawn worked it out this time. We have talked about doing a full order, but Lyman is still in his online classes using his own text. So we can't blanket it across all of humanities just yet.
But I thought that I was under the impression from his email that he's willing to go with the flow if we wanted to use it.
He's willing to go with the flow, but he hasn't yet. And I don't think that it's Lyman that's stopping that. I think there's another part of this faculty inlight process that's making it more difficult for Dawn to do that. So, I mean, there was a couple of emails back and forth with Lillian about that, where she was like, do I order my book? Do I not order my book? And then Dawn just said we order our books. So I'll need to follow back up with Dawn and figure out why that is. We should be able to just have a full force, have him do all the books for us. Another thing I was going to talk about was the first day access, which has to be ordered differently. And so
I still have a distinction from many of you in 1302.
yes, yeah, Jean's does a different, she requires the ebook, but also requires a separate book.
I can't require the ebook anymore. I recommend the ebook because it's usually most cost effective.
But
because I have to put a bookstore order in, I use books 3 through 6, which is book 3 plus volume 2, which many of you do not.
Yeah.
So that's also a difference.
Yeah. Have you considered first day access, which is automatic ebook lumped in with your class? So the cost of the book is in with the class when they register for it.
I have considered it, but when I talked with the actual McGraw-Hill person about it, it did not seem like a good fit. Because well, this is a much longer conversation. Yeah, it was not a good fit at the time. It could be a good fit in the future.
Okay.
And when you use Connect, whether you adopt the ebook or not, you can set it up for your students to have a 2-week free trial of the ebook. Yeah. So they can have a free trial of the ebook while they figure out what they want to order. And that's the best case scenario for me, rather than forcing them into the what you described.
Yes. So I'm actually
to opt out mostly.
Yeah, I'm actually using first day access this semester, and I'll talk about it in just a second.
Great. So I chose not to, just to give my students 100% flexibility on opting into the ebook or buying the books or
renting the book. Yeah. So in faculty inlight, I don't know who has section 16, but I'm not going to actually add the book right now, but I could. So add ISBN, and then you can just add the number right there.
Question here.
Yes.
Is it better to pick an older version of the book or anything? Is there a chance to save students money here, or does it have to be?
In my syllabus, I offer that they can use the 6th edition if they would like to use the 6th edition, because some of my materials have pulled from both the 6th and the 7th edition. Mm-hmm. Our assessment is not pulled from anything specifically that's only in the 7th edition, but we like to use the most updated edition for the schools, at least.
Okay, so
but I give my regular students the option. What does everyone else do? Do you mind the 6th edition?
I don't really know the difference, and my feeling is that with the changes in archaeology and everything, it's kind of best to err on the side of caution with the more recent stuff.
There are differences. When I went through, I have an assignment that for which I pull topic content ideas from the text. And so I updated it when it went from 6th to 7th. There were not major differences, but there were significant differences, but the chapter themes stayed the same.
Yes.
So if a student were to use the 6th, they would be okay. But I agree with Sarah in that there are differences in the edition that are significant because of new discoveries and new changes in the field. So that's where I am on that. Yeah. I don't check that they're using the 7th because my assignments, they have to do outside research for my assignment. So they're gonna find updated, in fact, the point of my assignments is that they find updated information from the book. I still prefer they use the 7th.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions on the textbook? Again, if you need help getting through Faculty Inlight, you just enter the ISBN number, select it, it goes in an email to Don, and he approves it, and that puts in your book order to the bookstore. So does anyone have any questions on Faculty Inlight? I can only see 4 people at a time. Hold on. Nobody? All right. So I'm going to close that. I believe that the next thing that was on my list was professional development, required professional development. Has everybody gotten the emails about required professional developments? The ADA, the cybersecurity awareness training, which is new, and sexual harassment prevention, which is one version, and then the VAWA prevention, which is another. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Not know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about. I've
I
done
do
all
know
of
what
them.
you're talking about. I found out last night that if you have banked professional development hours, which many of us do, they have all been reduced to 0.
Yes, they do. They have.
And that's like an error.
Yeah.
So if you need to justify somehow, we've been told unofficially that they're not keeping super close track of that. So, but
no, they are keeping super close track of ADA, cybersecurity,
yes,
sexual harassment, and VAWA. The rest of the things that you do that you sign up for here and there are not. I just did a professional development and it's not even in here. I went to General Assembly and it's not even in here. So I don't know about those hours. But the ADA, cybersecurity, and sexual harassment can be accessed through this, which is workshop and event registration. You can actually Google workshop and event registration from the ACC website. You should have all received an email about 360 Stay Safe training for the VAWA, which is more about consent and your responsibility to report things that you see. Again, there were ones that were in person in September, and it's just we need to make sure that we're all in compliance, and I just want to make sure that you guys are all in compliance. Do you have any questions about professional development, required and or otherwise? Nope. All right.
Zach had a question.
Yeah, can I ask a question? So, I've completed those online mandatory ones, including the cybersecurity one, which took a pretty long time.
Yes, it did. They added 45 minutes.
Sure did.
And yikes, yeah. So, is there anything now that I need to do further to record that with the department, or is that?
No, it automatically reports to the department when you complete it online. If it hasn't posted when you go into your workshops and events thing, there's an email you can send to them. They were having some trouble posting stuff because of the way that it wasn't integrated properly. So if you don't see that, just make sure that you just send them an email and say, hey, I completed this and here's when I completed it. So I always print everything I do online for professional development and save a copy of the certificate to email in case I don't get credit for it, because I don't want to do it again. That cybersecurity, if you haven't done it, takes a minimum of 2 to 3 hours. So who else has done cybersecurity?
I have. It's tricky. It stops in the middle for questions. You can't walk away from it.
You can't walk away from it.
Very smart.
The answers are very easy and it's very logical, commonplace stuff, but it does force you to be in there. I mean, that's great. We're teachers. We want people to watch stuff that we give them and be able to answer the questions. But when it's done to us, we're not very happy.
We're real mad. That's right.
Yes, we are real mad.
That's right. Okay,
so we have talked about the spring schedule. We have talked about the textbook orders. My experience, I talked about required. My experience with the first day was that a lot of students didn't know that their textbook was integrated into their class. It was a 12-week class, and so they couldn't actually go and have it access the book early. They wouldn't let them access the book until like 5 days before the class started. And most people that sign up for a 12-week class don't realize they've signed up for a 12-week class. And they were all, I can't access the book. I can't look at stuff. I can't get ahead. Also, anybody that has an Apple product was trying to use it through Safari and they couldn't. And so I had a lot of issues with that access because it's through something called Yaza or something. It's a different e-reader book format, and it's been rocky. So I had already signed on to use it for next semester again, but hopefully they'll have some bugs worked out on it. Again, it was only students using Apple products that had an issue, but we have had that issue with McGraw-Hill since the beginning. So They are PC people, and they don't understand that half the world is Apple people. So I will keep you posted on how that is working out for me. Like, I still have 3 or 4 students that have banded together to find solutions to their problems.
Zach, were you waving your pen for
Yes.
effect?
No.
That was just a fun thing. All right, cool.
Like I said, I can only see 4 of you at any
checking.
time, so I'm scrolling back and forth. Great questions updates. Jean, Grant, and I, and Ted Haziantich from the government department have launched our Great Questions classes, and it has been quite an experience. We actually had a student social event last week where a couple of them came out to meet and talk about what the experience was like. I went to almost all of the Riverbat Bashes to talk to students and talk it up for next semester, and I went to General Assembly to tell everyone and their mother that we are offering this class, and to get them excited about it, and to tell their students about it, to tell their friends about it, to tell their kids about it. Many of you are in the training right now. Would you like to share your experiences in the training and how you think that it's going? Or not? No? Sarah?
I have feelings. I don't know if they're public feelings or private feelings.
You don't know if they're public feelings or private feelings? Would you like to give an abbreviated impression of your feelings, and we can choose to table it for another day?
Sure. My overall feelings are that, I mean, I love seminars. Those were always my favorite part of grad school and of upper division classes. So I love the mission of it. I'm a little concerned that the content is not directly mapping to what they would be doing in another education course in terms of the study skills. And part of that may be that I'm not seeing parts of the course that are, being elided because we're going through the content focus. And so I just want to make sure that they'd be walking out of that course with the same education that they would if they took the more traditional course.
I understand that. Zach, how are you liking the training? Do you have any comments on how it relates to your different classroom experience? You kind of came from a great books background.
Yeah, I came from a background in these sorts of books, and I strongly believe in the curriculum as like a good means of education. I mean, from the perspective of what's a good education and what is the story of culture, I think we're reading the right books. From the perspective of our task is to get a little bit of this and a little bit of that, a little bit of everything over the course of 1,000 years, then yeah, it fails in that regard. So you have to sort of think about which is the goal there.
Yeah.
And I think in light of that distinction, the seminar, maybe could be a little bit better at explaining this is the importance of Euclid. This is why it's actually worth spending 6 weeks doing these propositions when there's like a million other things from culture that happened over the course of this 1,500 years. So yeah, I think it would be good maybe in the next meeting to have a discussion of why this stuff is important.
Sure. From a teaching perspective, we just finished our Making Connections assignments, and although Jean has gotten this kind of work, and I've seen this kind of work from Jean's students for years for subbing from her, this format of them going out and them doing the research and bringing it to class as an expert and sharing it with everybody was so much more effective than passively reading a textbook or passively looking at a lecture. Nothing that came out of my mouth. I added things that they had missed and connected things for them and did all of that stuff that you guys are missing in your content trainings. Those things, they really do happen organically in the classroom. And we're doing Euclid next week. And we finished Mino this week leading up to that. And when we were talking about the propositions and how this thing works out, I was like, you're not going to understand this until you try to do it. But once you can figure out how to do this, you can structure a logical argument. You can have a conversation with someone. You can give directions. it is this way of thinking. It is not this mathematical principle. So the experience of teaching it is way different from the content training that we did. The students are really bringing it all together. And after my Making Connections things, my students they experienced Egypt, and they experienced Mesopotamia, and they experienced the Middle Ages, and someone brought in Marcus Aurelius and talked about that. Even though it wasn't on the list, I let him do an exception. And so this was, they really are getting an experience that I think is more valuable because of the way that it was presented than a lecture or reading a textbook where most of them are going to tune out. They're going to remember the things that we talked about, I think, a little bit better. I think it's going to be sticky. That's a word that is used a lot when talking about education, is the stickiness of it. Is it going to stick with them? And I think this Making Connections project is going to stick. I think they're going to remember these things by the end of the semester more than they would anything else. Dean, how's your experience?
Yeah, so when I taught humanities, getting my master's, I taught at Arizona State, and what Arizona State did was kind of similar to what, like a smoosh of my two approaches to 1301 currently, because we did read in depth some books for that, but the class was also structured with lecture and time periods and kind of the great time periods of humanities. And so what this is what Great Questions has done is take some of that those of us who've taught historically are very used to, and I think that can be a little unsettling when you aren't used to decoupling it a little bit more from history. But I agree with you, Carrie, that part of why I use an assignment like this in my other 1301, and part of why I put it forward, the Making Connections assignment for the Great Questions, is that students do remember better what they research for themselves. And I've already seen a greater interest in students Googling things they have questions about and bringing that to class than in any section I've ever taught at 1301 ever before in 15 years.
Wow.
They're doing it themselves and bringing it.
We're not doing it.
No, we're not doing it. They're like, oh, I had a question about this and I Googled it, and they bring it to class. So, or they tell me about things they're finding online that are helping them understand the textbook. Like, it's amazing. I had a couple of students as well, and my undergrad had seminar courses like this for humanities, so I also am like back in my element for that. But a couple of students flat out missed the first like essay assignment, we'll just call it that.
Yes, mine too.
Odyssey assignment.
Mm-hmm.
They came to the one-on-one meeting, and they, like, I don't know how to put this, but basically what I was impressed by was that they didn't drop out of class. They were willing to accept that 10% of their grade wasn't there, and they showed up and read the Mino and showed up to the meeting and were like super excited. And then when I said, I will accept late submissions, you can't get higher than a C, they were even more excited, but they had been willing to fully take that penalty. My attendance is, I have 25 students, and if I have more than 4 people absent in a day, that's a miracle, or that's an anomaly.
Yeah.
In other sections of 1301, even though I have an attendance policy, it is the case where 60% attendance is a good day, because students just don't care to come to class.
Yeah.
Anyways, a lot of these students did not know they were signing up for this, and every single one of them is excited about this course right now. I don't know how they'll do. Like, I'm doing all their grading this weekend, so we'll see what that does when they get feedback. But, I talked with them about this week. Like, you're going to get your first round of feedback. If any of you feel like you're struggling after that, just let me know. And that rapport is there in a different way. And yeah, I don't know. I can't say enough about it. Sarah, I'm not sure I understood all of your question, but if I caught that part of it was that you also wanted to be sure that they're getting what they need to out of EDUC, or are you just thinking that we want to make sure that they're getting what they need to as if they were taking another 1301 section?
I mean, it's kind of both, right? Like, we don't have any flexibility as instructors of what we're teaching. And I think there's a lot of passion in instruction if we get to choose what texts there are. So that's something that I would want to see change moving forward. I know we're in a proof of concept stage, and I'm fine with teaching the texts we have now, but there's so many books that I feel like I would be better equipped to really give them, access to. But there are some people in the course that are from the other class, and they have to teach them more like study skills and time management and all of that stuff. And I just want to make sure that we're fulfilling the requirement in both ways, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, so I'm glad that I did understand your question. So it is true that you're not getting the journal assignments when you're going, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, they're not seeing her. I'll bring it up and just let everybody see what it looks like.
So the students are getting journal assignments that require that they do things like go to the academic coaching, or we've modified it so that they can go to a tutor and report on that. They're required to meet with the instructor to talk about how many classes they're taking, if they're working a job, how are they balancing that, what study skills do they feel like they're lacking, and we connect, like our job is to connect them to those resources as part of the course. So I have a student, actually, I'm back up. He's not technically a student in the course. He's technically the Ted's assistant for the grant. He is sitting in my course and comparing it week by week to EDUC 1300. Yep. He's taking both. He's officially enrolled in EDUC, and he's being a student in my class and literally writing comparative journal entries for TED every week. So we will have that perspective from a student's perspective as part of the end of this semester's evaluation looking back.
So give me 1 second. Yeah, Dawn is doing, Donitis is doing a great job for us by being sort of a corporate spy into that, but I have many students who are also taking both classes or who just took that class, the EDC 1300 class. So let me show you this and share.
Yes, hopefully we can get their feedback too. But Sarah, I also want to address, I totally hear you on we have to use these 4 texts and wanting more flexibility. The one thing that I would say is that it's not, these texts are chosen with a purpose, and there's something so far quite amazing about these texts and the classroom, even though I've never read the Mino before, and until this class, and so I'm discovering it with them. And one of the things that that this allows us to consistently do is say that we are, and this is what I firmly believe always, like, I'm a repository of knowledge. And students are super used to coming to class and me being the repository of knowledge. And I do flipped classroom a lot to try to encourage them to see that. But this structure, they see it organically, that they are also repositories of knowledge. So, moving forward, if we think about other texts, that's totally cool. I just would hesitate to pick a text because you are an expert on it. That's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, I'd have to say that the Mino itself is about how none of us are repositories of knowledge, and how to even discuss something from a standpoint where you can do it properly. You both have to admit that you don't know what you're talking about and start from scratch. And the Mino kind of gives them that agency to say, none of us know what we're talking about. Even Socrates didn't know. He couldn't explain what he swore he knew. Mino, who he was talking to, who felt himself very learned, couldn't explain what he was talking about. And that gives these students this sort of freedom to be like, oh my God, none of us know what we're talking about. Let's figure out what it is together. And Jean's right that it changes that dynamic to where none of us really know, so we learn it together, and they're very excited to do that every week, more excited than they are for anything else.
Sure. I will just comment very briefly. Like I said, this is a much larger conversation, but it's not that I want to teach something I'm an expert in. It's that I want to teach things that I feel like are part of our agreed upon competencies that we want them to leave there with. And one of those is like global citizenship, for example. I feel like there are texts that could more directly apply to political or social dimensions that we could be wrestling with instead of the Euclid, for example. And that kind of stuff we can decide as we move forward. You know, I'm fine with teaching it as is now, but things that actually really impact their lives on a day-to-day basis. I think the Machiavelli does the best at that, really.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that we can say, oh, how do we teach
politics? A ton of politics this week with Amino.
Yes.
And I agree with you on Euclid. So.
Can you all see the journal? You guys looking at the journal assignments? You say that we talk about setting goals and we talk about academic coaching or labs and making connections, project and faculty meetings. There are 10 of these that are going through the entire semester that ask them to go to transfer events, that ask them to figure out how to manage their time. I have them asking me all the time about how to manage their time. And my conversations with them are, there are resources here, there are counselors. I had a counselor come and talk to my class out at Round Rock. You can add those things, Sarah, that you might feel are missing. We provide content, we do not provide context. Like, you can add what you want to this class. Everyone's take on it is a little bit different. So I added like these journals and this again, and we're in a pilot process, so some of these things may change and shift. So we're all trying to see how it works right now. So again, we are seeing amazing things happen in our classrooms that I haven't seen in the last 8 years and that Jean hadn't seen in the last 15. So it's really promising the direction that this can go in. So and whiteboard and share screen. Okay. Going to assessment update and calibration. Did everybody get the pre-assessment done? I know it was rocky and confusing and the files and the stuff and the thing. So in our team folder, where'd it go? In our team folder, Humanities Collective, share stuff here. You've all been sent a link to that. There is a folder called assessment. In that assessment folder is the Humanities Student Success Assessment Tracking. Can you see that screen? Are you seeing an empty screen? Are you seeing an empty spreadsheet?
We can see the empty spreadsheet.
Sweet.
Yeah, well,
all right.
Is it 2019 to 2017?
What? 2019, because it's everything. It's our entire spreadsheet. It's our.
Great. It's just backwards. That's all.
It's backwards, but does that bug you that it's backwards? I can switch it.
Totally.
All right.
Thank you.
Because it used to say 2015 or 20 something to 2017, 2016 to 2017, and I was lazy and just changed the 16. All right, does that look good, Jean? Happy? Okay. Anyway, how we I have to get this. I gotta get the thing out of the way. Sorry, my control panel is in the way here. I have to move it. All right, so I created a sheet. This is the sheet for essay with an extra S, which we'll talk about the essay in a minute. The content surveys have a pre and a post, and then I take care of all the stuff here, and then that's 1302 essay with an extra essay because I copied it. So 1301 and 1302 both have their own sections to list your pre and your post. You don't have to do it now. It's actually easier if you do it at the end of the semester because you can keep your scores even, pre and post for all your students. I just want to show you guys where it is. This is summer. Sarah ran it for Elgin in 1301. I ran it for Riverside in 1302. These are her two classes and some of the pre and post and some of the summaries that I've been putting in. Matthew, the dean of our overall department, is looking at the success rates in early college high school students. So we need to differentiate. So when you enter your classes, your name, your campus, and whether or not it was early college high school or lecture or online. So all of the data that we can get and that we can hash out, like how are our online students doing versus our classroom students. We're gonna track 13 or great questions as well. They took the same assessment. So how are their scores pre and post versus the rest of our students? And then I enter all that in this huge DAX system that's a big, gigantic, fat mess, and I'm not gonna show you that. But this is how we are tracking this assessment. So you were all sent links to this. It's all in the team drive that you're all members of. So it's the content survey results for 1301, 1302, really not important till the end of the semester. And then the essay results. The essay is the essay question that we had been running. Me and Sarah are, I think we refined most of it, and I'm gonna send it out in a Blackboard import file to be given at the end of the semester. So we're really only going to try to capture the essay question at the end of the semester instead of the beginning and the end. People that knew things, just knew them, could answer that question at the beginning of the semester, and then people who didn't know things went, I don't know. So I think that by shifting it to the end of the semester and separating it out from the content survey, we can capture some communication skills and a real measure of some critical thinking by the end of the semester. Does anyone have comments or opinions on that? We've kind of been talking about it off and on, but we never really had like a full meeting. Our assessment committee is me and Sarah. So does that sound like a plan with everybody? Nodding heads.
If anyone feels super passionately that they want to be on the assessment committee, let us know. But we've been just doing it, so we're going to continue doing it.
Yeah. Jean? Yes, Zach?
I haven't actually looked at the assessment carefully, and that was in part deliberate, because I wanted to see, if I would just end up touching on the material in the flow of things. Should I do that, or should I go quickly look at the test and make sure that I'm hitting on those points? I mean, like, are we teaching to the test, or are we just teaching our class the way we would normally teach it?
I do not teach to the test, but because this assessment was created out of all of our inputs, we all put things in it from our own perspectives. There were things that were not in my class that I added in 1302 because they were on this assessment and they were awesome. So that's up to you. I don't teach to the test. The assessment is about exposure, not mastery. Humanities survey class is about exposure, not mastery. We're not looking for them to get 100% on this. We're looking for them to have been exposed to enough information to be able to figure out what's what. So that's our goal, is 70% of the students hitting 70%. So it's really all about exposure, not mastery. So if you do not want to look at it, that would be a great example. Like, that's an experiment. Like, please don't look at it and let's see what happens. I'm curious. I'd love that to happen. That would be cool. So I think that would be great. So please don't teach to the test. Nothing is that we're collecting data so we can figure out how to do our jobs better, and mainly because SACS makes us. So, but it's, yeah, do whatever, do you do you, and we'll be fine. Again, so this is where you're going to enter it at the end of the semester. One of the other things that was on the list to talk about was in my tracking of sharing a new screen. In my tracking of the assessment stuff, I had to attach it to our discipline objectives and outcomes, and there was some new language that has been being not pushed on us, but suggested that we adopt. And it's actually woven into the assessment portal that I have to put this information in. So when I was reporting our information from our summer assessments, there was some language in there that it was forcing me to kind of have to wrap our stuff around. Now, we haven't revised these officially. I have, me and Sarah chatted back and forth as I was doing this assessment data entry. And Jean, when she was doing her new 1305 class for online, had discussions about this new format, really, but what it is, but there's a little bit of wording in it. If you'll look at the discipline objectives, and I need to bring up the other one, hang on a minute. Hang on just a minute. Okay. Here is our old course objectives. That's discipline objectives. Identify a variety of significant works of art from various places, demonstrate the ability to associate works of art with their cultural context, and students will be able to discuss the relationship between arts and human nature and values. In working on submitting the data and attaching, because you have to attach your discipline objective to a general education core competency objective and then attach it to an assignment. You have to make those 3 connections in this SAC thing, which, Jean, that's why we have to do what you were talking about with Quality Matters. It's because of this assessment tracking. That's where it ties together. When Jean rebuilt her course, there was a lot of talk about action words and having your discipline or your course objectives be actionable Bloom taxonomy words. This rewrite that is a draft that we've been working on, as a result of having taken this course, students will be able to identify a variety of works from various times and places in history, demonstrate the ability to evaluate works of art and associate them with their cultural context, and explain the relationship between the arts and human values. It's sort of a simplification and rewriting that kind of makes it make more sense.
It just takes, so if you go back to your other one, basically all you had to do, which you did,
was take the students.
Not repeat. Students will be able to under each bullet point.
But we have to identify and demonstrate the, if you look at here, that is pretty much what it is identify and demonstrate. But we had here.
I thought we talked about adding analyze.
Is that's where I have to pull it out of the email.
For the third one, maybe, I think.
That's where I was trying to find it. Where did we have that? Was it analyze the relationship between arts and human values?
Yes.
Instead of explain? Because I had like 3 listed. So how do we feel about a higher level Bloom's taxonomy word like analyze instead of explain? How do we as a discipline feel about that? Because it's our discipline objectives and we have to go through the DGC. But as far as for the course, we can talk to Grant and the DGC about like getting these on board for things. How do we feel about analyze versus explain?
I mean, at least in my course, I ask analysis-based questions. I'll do like, here's your content retention questions. And then I would like you to reflect upon how, what was inspiring, or how does this connect to modern day events, or, they're doing analysis at least at some components of it.
Do we all feel like our students are on some level looking at the relationship between arts and human values? Can we all agree with that, or?
I mean, I would say discuss as opposed to explain at the least. I would also vote yes for analyze.
Analyze, yeah.
I'm not sure about analyze. It sounds like we want them to recognize or understand it, be able to discuss it, but we're not ever, I didn't hear that we're all kind of having them actually, what does it mean to analyze the relationship?
Yeah, and that's kind of what my question is. Like Sarah's saying that she has specific instances and she has them analyze that relationship.
Could discuss work.
The thing with discusses is I can't tie it to anything.
Analysis. But I think explain is not enough. I think just like discuss implies a little bit more than explain, right? Because explain is reiterate. Discuss could imply adding your voice to it. Analyze requires adding voice to it. Does that make sense to people, or?
That makes sense to me, and I now remember the conversation with Sarah when I was in the middle of doing this, that analyze allowed me to connect it to critical thinking and allowed us to tie our assignments to critical thinking, and that's where this changing some of the words came from, was like analyze.
But discuss permits it without requiring it.
Discuss. It's not. But can you discuss it without analyzing it?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you can regurgitate with discuss. You can also analyze with discuss. So what I was trying to do was leave it so that it's open to the professor's discretion to add analysis or not.
Okay.
But I would also vote for analyze. I know Desi doesn't want to, so
Okay.
I don't like explain.
I didn't like explain either, and I couldn't connect explain to anything. It wasn't high enough on Bloom's taxonomy to even be in. So how does everyone else feel about analyze? Anybody else have thoughts on analyze?
Thumbs up. Thumbs up on analyze.
Zach?
That's it.
Do you think your students are analyzing?
Zach, we can't hear you.
There
you go.
Can you hear me? I just learned about this Bloom's taxonomy today. I'm a little bit new. So I don't really know where my class fits into the scale.
Do you feel that you are asking your students to analyze? Just as a concept?
Yeah, I'm asking them to, yes.
Yeah. Jay, Desi? Desi? No? Jay?
I'm fine with analyze. I got some different issues going on with my students out in Maine. So if I can get them to analyze, just coming to class would be great. But yeah, the value of coming to class. So I definitely see the value of having them analyze things. I'm just having a different kind of group of students right now. So.
Yes, I feel your pain. I have been where you are. Again, I'm teaching Crockett students for the first time I've ever taught Crockett students before. And some days they are like a round of feral cats, and other days they are totally engaged. So it's different. And it all depends on whether or not what I'm saying is interesting to them. They are mostly forced to be there. And I know on the high school campus, they are 100% forced to be there. So it's a struggle. But I think that kind of idealistically our goal as a discipline should be to have them analyze, at least try. I mean, and it doesn't claim mastery. To analyze the relationship in arts and humanities can be like, I've looked at it and I don't know what the hell it is. So that was part of that, was me being able to connect it to critical thinking and to tie our assignment, our essay assignment analyzes the relationship between arts and human values. That's what it does. That's what we wrote it to do. So but we didn't have the language in our discipline objectives that matches that. So so I'm trying to align everything so that when we enter this data from the stuff that we're doing, that it's all brought together. And Jean, who just built a course for Quality Matters, know that they're going to be asking us to do that more and more. And the more we get ahead of this and do it as a discipline, the easier it will be for us to fall in line when something like Quality Matters and all of this assessment connection is required across ACC. So
I've been told that is 2020 potentially.
Yeah, 2020. That's what I'm saying. Like, if we get ahead of it now, and we're not even ahead of it, I'm trying to get ahead of it. I just got access to the DAC system like 2 weeks ago. So I'm still trying to catch up on what it all means. I never knew what it meant until I got access to that system and I could see how everything connects. I'd been doing it blindly, and now that I can see how it all connects, it all makes sense what they're making us do. And it's based on this system. So if we are all in agreeing that we would like, ideally, for our students to be able to identify, demonstrate the ability to evaluate works of art and associate them with their cultural context and analyze the relationship between arts and human values, we can take this to the next DGC meeting and get it put as official. I'll put together a Google form to make sure that Patty and Lillian and Lyman and Melissa and Carrie also get to have conversation about this, and any other suggestions are open. These were written originally from the ACGM, the main book on how these are supposed to be written, and that's how they originally derived. We're not deviating from that far enough for it to make a difference. As far as our course is concerned, we just all need, I'd like us all to agree on it. So me and Sarah traded synonyms for a while until we found one that worked. Like, I'm looking for a word, and she's like, it's this. And I'm like, okay. So I will post that in a Google form, and we will get it done if we can all agree. So where'd my whiteboard go? Oh, I just drew on the board. Where is that? Oh, put that back. All right. Some outcomes proposal. That's what I was just talking about. New opportunities and updates. I'm sure, I think everyone saw the email from Grant that there is a full-time position in humanities being offered. This semester is going to be the application period. Applications are due in December. They will be conducting interviews next spring, and the position will officially start in fall 2019. So I encourage everybody in the department that is seeking a full-time position to, of course, apply. We all are growing. We all have career goals. So I suggest everyone that needs it to go out for it. And I had that discussion at the PRH social with people. So Grant can answer any questions of the application process and how that system runs. So I've never done it before. Jean has, if she wants to speak to the process. It's slightly changed since the last time, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I used it over the summer to apply. There's a full-time RTF position as well. And the new system is actually much better than the old system. It does take have all of your teaching history by class ready to go. Have all of you can save along the way. And it is really nice. It's done by like, fill out this section and then fill out this section and fill out this section. But yeah, they want to know exactly how many times you've taught every single section that you've ever taught and in what formats. So make sure you just have those ready. But no, I was really glad that the system had changed to be simpler. There's just a lot of information that goes into it, and just be prepared for that. I had done it before and had everything ready for the RTF position, and it still took me about, an hour times 5 days to get it together. Because you also write your cover letter and make sure your resume and CVs and everything are up to speed as well. But it's
put it together when I was first appointed temporary full-time, and I had to put it together, and I'll tell you the truth, I'm still not done. So yay for Jean, I'm still not done. So all of that teaching information, and luckily all of that is in there. So I'm just gathering all the other stuff together. So
another point
on here.
You need. Oh, sorry. You need 3 references. You do not need letters, from what I can tell. So you just need contact info.
Yeah.
I did talk to Grant about it, and he said that he's on the committee, so it's not a good choice to put him necessarily on your references.
Yes.
Just FYI.
Yes. I talked to him as well. So if you're looking for stuff, look for stuff that's outside of people that already know you and that help augment your application. So it's like we all had the same experience. So with that application process. All right. Does anyone have anything else that they want to open? It is 1:38. We got through a lot of information. I think this is informative or no? If I send out an evaluation of how this went, would we be like, yay? Is this good? Did you feel like this was worth an hour of your time?
Yes.
Okay, sweet.
Yes.
Yay. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to share?
I'm a faculty fellow and I'm excited.
You are a faculty fellow. Yes, a few shout outs. Erin is a faculty fellow for Project ACC. And for the next coming year, let's congratulate her. I wanted to make an announcement. I am presenting at the Texas DigiCon conference that ACC is putting on in downtown Austin on October 25th. My digital fellows people, I got them all together, and we're going to do a digital fellows compendium on everything that we've put together. So if you're looking for interesting information on online teaching and distance education, and different technical aspects of software and stuff that's available. This is a Texas-wide conference that ACC helped put together, and our digital fellows people got in. So yay! So if you're looking for something. Also coming in October, I am working with Humanities Texas on a Veterans Voice project where we work with veterans to read classic works, excerpts from Ajax and the Odyssey and some contemporary poetry. They read it with us. We go in a circle and read together and share our experiences. PTSD has been something that has been in existence since the Odyssey. So it makes you really view life differently. These conversations are going to be going on at Highlands October 25th through November on Thursday nights. So if you know veterans, have them log on to Humanities Texas and look for dates to sign up for these talks. I've been paired with a Vietnam veteran named Hillary, who is helping put together, we teach, like great books, a select session of readings for the first reading, and then in the second one and the third one, we choose our own readings to guide the veterans through to discuss their information. I also got training on de-escalation in the classroom, which I'm going to talk to Sherry about creating a professional development about, getting with the guy that did our de-escalation training. He's a counselor for veterans on how to handle conversations in the classroom with veterans in the classroom or just regular students. People dealing with younger children who don't have fully formed frontal cortexes need to figure out ways to de-escalate their emotions because they do not know how. It was a very useful 45-minute PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to see if I can't get with Sherry on that. So I've been learning a lot through this, not just reading. It's so much more. If anyone else has anything else to say, I will release you. Anyone? No? Jean's good. Aaron's good. Zach looks like he's sleeping. Sarah's face is gone. Desi never said anything else.
I just said I'm good.
Oh, you're good. Okay. Sarah, your face was there, now it's gone.
I lost part of the meeting, but since it's recorded, I think y'all were just talking about analyze versus other words.
Yes, for a while. Yeah. Okay, so I want to thank you all for taking an hour out of your life. We could do all this via email. It's just very hard to write everything that we have discussed, and I like it in an organic way. I'm sorry we couldn't actually meet in person today, but thank you for coming. And if you have any questions or comments or other things for our next meeting when I get it scheduled, I'll